I'd like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land on which we're gathered and to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Everyone, I'd like to welcome you to the City Lifestyle Committee meeting of the 10th of November, and I declare the meeting open at 11:20am, and I would also like to advise you all that this meeting is being audio recorded. Councillors, do we have any leaves of absence to report? There being none, we'll move on and we will actually move into closing the meeting. As you would be aware, we actually have a deputation that's coming up under City Governance in just some 10 minutes' time. So I apologise to the members of the gallery for all the musical chairs today, but we're just working with what is ahead of us just at the moment. So I'd like to move that the Lifestyle Committee meeting of the 10th of November be suspended until... Do we have a time, ladies?
It's been a disaster, isn't it? Blame the chair.
So my apologies. We're actually moving that we will suspend the City Governance Committee, City Lifestyle Committee until after the commencement of the City Infrastructure Committee, which will occur after the City Governance Committee. Can I have a mover for that motion?
Can I just read the motion up there, what it says?
I beg your pardon, Councillor Bradley?
Can I read what the motion up there says?
That would be appreciated, thank you.
That in accordance with section 261 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the meeting be adjourned from time after the adjournment or conclusion of the reconvened City Infrastructure Committee meeting. And
that time being?
What of time that would be?
11:22am. So Councillor Bradley has moved. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Can I have a show of hands? That has been unanimously supported and will reconvene in 10 minutes. Thanks, everyone. All right. Thank you, councillors, and thank you to those of you in the gallery who've hung in there today. It's been quite a long day. Before we get underway, we actually need to reopen the meeting. So I would welcome someone to move that we reopen the City Lifestyle Committee at 3:18pm. Thank you, Councillor Stemp. Do I have a seconder? I do. And Councillor Murphy. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And that is unanimously supported by all councillors who are currently here, which actually just brings me back to our agenda. I'd like to begin once again by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land of which we're gathered and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I know a number of councillors would be well aware that this is NAIDOC week, so in particular I would like to make that acknowledgement to country today. Leaves of absence. Now, councillors, I have received a leave of absence from Councillor Lane, who unfortunately has injured herself, is unable to be with us for the remainder of the day. I also have received a leave of absence from Councillor Hall. Are there any other leaves of absence? There being none, could I have someone please move to accept the leaves of absence from Councillor Lane and Councillor Hall? So moved by Councillor Raven. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Stemp. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Fantastic, thank you. That has been unanimously carried. Your hand did go up, didn't it, Councillor Bannon? Thank you, just checking. Okay, well, we've moved things around a little bit on the agenda. So, councillors, I would like to draw your attention to item 8.1, and this is a report which is the update on the Loganholme Aero Modellers Radio Control Society tenure arrangement. I'd now like the Water Partnership Manager. Is Mark actually here today at all? No. So Mark's not with us today, so instead we've got Daryl presenting this report for discussion. But before we get underway, do any councillors have any conflicts of interest they wish to declare? There being none, I'll now hand over to Daryl. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillors, at the last committee meeting, there was a report brought in regards to the Loganholme Aero Modellers Radio and Control Society tenure. It spoke to some difficulties in regards to access in respect to the Loganholme treatment plant. That matter was deferred at that committee with a request to bring a report back to the current committee. In that interim period, we've actually had Logan Water looking at a couple of options in regards to being able to progress work around that. That matter is quite complex, especially given the long-term planning that is actually involved with the treatment plant, and we were unable to actually get that piece of work completed in time to actually bring that to this round. As such, the report highlights that and notes that we will bring a report to a future City Lifestyles Committee meeting. We are targeting the next committee meeting at this point, and effectively, I guess that's where we're at, and I ask for council's, I guess, consideration of that point and your ongoing support. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. I have a question from Councillor Stemp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Firstly, I'd just like to thank you for the work that's been done by the various branches in council with regard to this matter. You obviously mentioned December 2020, hopefully. Obviously, with this being time sensitive, it is quite urgent, so I'm really hopeful that we can get it through in December. Also, there was mention in the report about identifying options for post-construction, but it's still being there are still considerations of options that may be suitable during the construction process.
Thank you.
In terms of access, please. Yep.
Madam Chair, certainly there's two aspects to it. There's the general access, which would apply for the continuation, but there is also then the impacts that the upgrade works, which are currently scheduled for the treatment plant, will also have on their operation. So certainly when we bring the report back, we would look to cover off on both of those and provide update on both of those points. Yep.
Thank you for clarifying.
No further questions? There being no further questions, can I please have a mover that the Water Partnership Manager be requested to prepare a report to a future Lifestyle Committee meeting investigating alternative entry arrangements? Thank you, Councillor Bannon. Can I have a seconder for the motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Stemp. By a show of hands, all those in favour? And that is unanimously supported. Thank you, everyone. And on this occasion, we won't ask Daryl if he has any... just one moment. Mr Mayor, do you have GB?
I was just going to say, you can look to the left if you like, because there's hands up here too. So.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I did, and I actually noticed you and Councillor Raven chatting, so I decided to go to the right.
Oh, point of order. That's just not true.
It was true, Councillor.
I was not talking to him. Sanction the chair. Ready?
Thank you, Daryl. No GB for Daryl. Thank you very much, Daryl.
I'd like to ask that the chair withdraw those comments, actually.
Okay, councillors, I now draw your attention to item 5.1. Can the Sport, Leisure and Facilities Manager, Mr Nigel Brown, please enter discussions? And we'll be talking about the Active Logan Strategy update on and Recreational Trails Strategy. Before we get underway, do any councillors have any conflicts of interest they wish to declare? There being none, I'll now refer to...
Hang on.
I'm sorry, Councillor Bradley, forgive me, I didn't see your hand raised.
Is that 4.1?
5.1?
Oh, beg your pardon, sorry. No.
There being none, I now refer to the Sports, Leisure and Facilities Manager, Nigel, to present his report. Thank you, Nigel.
Thank you. Through the chair. Back on the 30th of September, the report was presented to the City Lifestyle Committee, and that was deferred at that meeting to enable some further conversations with councillors to get the best outcomes for this particular report. Following that meeting, there was a meeting with a number of council managers, as well as Councillor Bradley, Councillor Stemp and Councillor Wilcox, which enabled us to talk through those matters. In particular, identified two matters are associated with the recreation trails strategy, and more in particular around mountain biking. One was that there was a parks operational maintenance issue around current levels of servicing that impacted on service delivery, and the second was around a citywide strategic approach to planning for future networks and management of mountain bike activities. The conversation identified that parks were proposing to progress a service enhancement in order to address issues identified around the operational maintenance. And in relation to the strategic approach, the discussion looked at being able to present this report back to committee for consideration, but amending the recommendation, and as is in your updated agenda today, which highlighted the incorporating of a dedicated mountain bike strategy component into the trails strategy. So I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Nigel, do I have any questions from any councillors? Councillor Stemp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick one. Just in relation to the cycling side of things, I just want to confirm that the cycling community who use the trails on a regular basis will be a major consultation point when reviewing findings of the audit, because in conversations with riders, I know that they know every corner of those trails, they know what works, understand how to improve them better, etc. They just, I realise the audit's an important component and I realise that they're a qualified person who's done it, but then again, it's really important that the people that use it daily or use it weekly are the main consultation points in a lot of those areas, please.
Yes, thank you. Through the Chair, there's probably two aspects to that. The audits will certainly be very important to identify the operational maintenance that parks will be undertaking, and they will no doubt have that engagement. But as part of the strategic strategy development, they will definitely be a critical component of our consultation, yes.
And they'll also be consulted with regard to the maintenance side as well?
I can take that on board and pass that information on to the Parks Manager to ensure that that is the case.
That would be great, because there were some items in the audit which one of the community groups mentioned that they didn't necessarily all agree with, so I guess it's just, from my point of view, I'd just like to pass that information on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. Do any other councillors have any questions? There being no further... Oh, Mr Mayor, question?
No. I just want to move them.
There being no further questions, can I have someone move the report? Oh, Mr Mayor has moved the report. Councillor Bannon has seconded the report. By show of hands, can I see all those who are in favour? Thanks, everyone. That's been unanimously supported. Thank you very much, Nigel. Now, councillors, that marks the end of the Sport, Leisure and Facility Manager's report. Is there any GB for Nigel? Thank you, Councillor Bradley.
Yeah, thank you. I have already given to the Secretariat and the Chairperson a general business item that I wish to bring forward. So previously, I'll just flag, sorry. So recently, Underwood Park redevelopment was opened, all the community facility, all the sporting facilities, that the $12.2 million worth of infrastructure was all opened up. So a lot of the changes that occurred during administration, I was oblivious to until they actually physically happened on the ground. Previously, when I was a councillor, the community were consulted on at least 2 occasions about Underwood Park Community Hall. And Underwood Park Community Hall, the intent was that Nerida Street Community Centre would be closed, and there's obviously confidential reports in relation to that, but that's all I will say. The public have been told that it's been closed. I believe that there's still a couple of users in there at the moment who are utilising the facility. And also the hall at Underwood Park that has been there for a very, very long time, that was full of asbestos, etc., would be closed as well. Both those facilities actually had kitchen facilities. The community actually used them for weddings, for example, the garden club, a number of other community groups, I was going to say not childcare, but playgroup type sort of scenarios. So it's been, both of those facilities have been well utilised over many, many years. So with the opening of the new Underwood Park Community Hall, which was a couple of weeks ago now, it was actually quite a shock for me to actually see there was no cooking facilities within that building at all, none at all. There was a sink, there was an urn, and that was it. I was absolutely mortified because I know the community cook their own meals when they go there. They, for example, the garden club, they always cook their own lunch and have it presented on the day. So if there's a wedding on, they would expect they have that ability to cook, or at least heat up. But my take on it, they should be able to cook. That was not provided to the community. The community have missed out greatly. Not only did they get a smaller facility than what was publicly consulted, they also got a facility that someone actually described to me on Saturday when I met with them, unhireable. The community are saying council does not want this facility to be hired. That's pretty poor. In my opinion, that is really poor. Very sad for our community. Like I said, there is a general business item up here, and I have tried to get this resolved with the manager and with the director, hence why I'm bringing it here. I've been told that Rochdale Rovers were going to provide catering. I actually spoke to the president of Rochdale Rovers. Apparently they were consulted by someone from council and asked to put in an expression of interest to provide catering, to not only provide catering but take over the community hall. They have absolutely no interest in doing that. They have only interest in looking after their particular sporting club. I feel this has been pre-orchestrated, that there's no cooking facilities there with an intent of Rochdale Rovers to do that on behalf of the community. They have no interest in doing so. So hence, I'm asking for a report to come to a City Lifestyle Committee with the historical planning undertaken to determine the cooking facilities required to service the new Underwood Park Community Hall. Whether the cooking facilities are actually adequate to meet the needs of the public, which I would say are not, who will hire the community hall and who are regular user groups. The historical results of public consultation and regular user groups with regard to the provision of cooking facilities, and any early plans that included cooking facilities in excess of what was ultimately delivered as part of the recently opened Underwood Park multi-sport development. I'm going to move that, but before I do, I will just say there was at least one sporting facility that was not supposed to in this redevelopment. There was no intention of them at all to get a new clubhouse. During administration, the plans were changed. They got a new clubhouse. Not only that, every sporting club got a commercial kitchen. Whilst that is fantastic for all those sporting clubs, the community as a whole have actually missed out greatly. So I'm happy to move that.
Okay, thank you, councillors. Councillor Bradley has moved. I note that some councillors would like to enter into discussion. I understand the protocol is to look for a seconder for the motion in the first instance. Is there anyone willing to second the motion at this point?
Excuse me, sorry through the chair, could I ask a question which will determine whether I want to second the motion or not? Is that possible?
Just a moment. Yep, that's fine. So would you mind, Councillor Bannon, if I go to Councillor Raven and then come back to you? Is that all right? Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question at the start, but then Councillor Bradley said something else which piqued my attention. When you say...
Councillor Raven, could you just speak up a little?
Sorry, these ones are quieter today. There we go,
Thank
much
you.
louder. Councillor Bradley, I had one question at the start, but I'll come to that one last because Councillor Bradley actually raised something else that piqued my attention. If, with your indulgence, Madam Chair, is it okay if I ask for clarification? Councillor Bradley, you said that it felt as though it had been pre-orchestrated to to give the Rochdale Rovers an opportunity to cater. Whom had pre-orchestrated that? Like, was that through council or was that through state or was that the community groups?
What was the last bit?
Who do you feel pre-orchestrated?
Okay, the bit that I was referring to, the pre-orchestrated of no cooking facilities with the intent of Rochdale Rovers doing the catering. Like I said, council approached Rochdale Rovers.
So you believe council staff pre-orchestrated that?
I don't know who in council, but that's what I was told.
Might just interject. Nigel, did you want to make any comment with regard to whether council had, if you're aware, approached Rochdale Rovers with regard to Councillor Bradley's concerns?
Yes, through the chair. So I guess I do have a different recollection of that activity, and obviously I was directly involved in that. And I do have email correspondence from Rochdale Rovers where they approached council indicating that they were interested in that space and had sought what would be the expression of interest process if council were to go down that path, which I did provide them. So happy to.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Nigel.
It just sounded like there was some implication of impropriety, and I just wanted to clear the air around that. The GB item appears to be asking for a series of requests for information and advice, which doesn't normally require a report. So I'm trying to understand, if you get this report back, Councillor Bradley, what are you hoping to achieve once the report comes back? Are you just going to receive it, or are you then going to ask for the situation to be remedied?
I want the situation remedied. I want the community to get what they were consulted about, which was cooking facilities.
And could that not be remedied through LIP funding with a recommendation to the manager?
I think that's extremely inappropriate when the community were consulted and there was council funding, divisional funding as well, that was put in that 12.2 million. I think it's extremely inappropriate.
If I can just interject for a moment, Councillor Bradley, I actually wondered the same question. So it's the question that, if I can take some of the heat out of it, the question was that this is some $9 million worth of development for which you were unfortunately not here for.
12.2 million.
Thank you, 12.2, for which unfortunately you weren't here for part of that time due to circumstances beyond your control. Presumably the administrator would have had some input into this process.
No.
Is that correct, Nigel?
No, through the chair, the decisions around scope, any changes to scope were managed through the PCG, the Project Control Group, and the membership of that was myself as the council representative and a representative of Sport and Recreation Services Queensland.
Thank you. And just a question from me as the chair, if you don't mind me cutting your grass there, Councillor Raven. So the facility that Councillor Bradley is concerned about, the Underwood Park Community Hall, could these kitchenette facilities be retrofitted into that facility? Is there capacity for that?
Through the chair, the opportunity would be there to put in a range hood and commercial kitchen facilities, stove facilities. I mean, it is fitted with stainless steel benches. It will have a 3-door fridge, the hot water, and also a microwave, which will be provided. It's the stove which Councillor Bradley's referring to. The issue with the previous facilities that they were domestic ovens that were built, put in when those facilities were built 40 plus years ago. They weren't licensed or registered kitchens, so therefore they weren't suitable for preparation of food for public, in that sort of public facility, and therefore ultimately that was the outcome to develop a facility differently. But I do have all of the information that Councillor Bradley is seeking around the plans, the original concept that council endorsed, and what the scope of works included in that, and I'm happy to present that either back to councillor directly or to a future meeting. Happy to do either way.
Thank you, Nigel, and my apologies, Councillor Raven.
That's okay.
Do you have anything further you'd like to add?
my final question was, if the goal is to achieve funding from a source other than LIP, wouldn't it be easier just to refer the matter of the lack of kitchens to a future budgets register rather than doing the report first, if that's the end goal?
Am I allowed to speak?
Yes, thank you.
The intent is to go public, is to be transparent, because this has been brought to my attention by the public. Public are furious that this has happened, absolutely furious, and feel let down by this organisation. I think in respect to the community, that this should be public of what was consulted, and you will all see how much community space is not there now. You will all see how much has been taken from the community and put into sporting area. And this is really disappointing that I have to bring this to council because the community have missed out. The general community have missed out.
Okay. I've got a question from Councillor Bannon. Have you got anything further you want to add at this point? No. Councillor Bannon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. John, Councillor Raven touched on it. I just wasn't sure. I don't know if it was an accusation that you thought that someone had premeditated for a club not to be involved. I'm not sure on that, like where that's at, because I'm not sure if I heard it wrong, but that's the part I'd like to know. If you think that somebody has cooked something up to get rid of a sporting club or community group, I need to know that.
Can I respond, Chair?
Yes, you may.
Yep, so that actually came out of the words of the President yesterday of Rochedale Rovers, that they were approached by council. And I'm sorry, I would not say that that person would lie.
Thank you. So President of Rochedale Rovers thought that the council premeditated to get rid of him.
That's my opinion. I feel it's been pre-orchestrated. If they have been approached to do the catering, and initially in all the stuff that was consulted about publicly had kitchen facilities, cooking facilities in it, but actually what physically happened on the ground was no cooking facilities.
So you just lost because I thought you just said then that that's come out of the mouth of the President of the Rochedale Rovers.
Can I please explain?
Yeah, of course.
So what was consulted over a long period of time when I was a councillor previously, at least 2 times that I have consulted, at least 2 occasions, was community facility with cooking, the option to cook. So that it could be hireable and the option to cook. What actually physically happened on the ground just opened up a couple of weeks ago, which I didn't know until it was actually delivered, was no cooking facilities.
Did that answer your question, Councillor Bannon?
No.
So,
Sorry, through the chair.
Please.
I
So
understand
the President of the Rochedale Rovers told me yesterday that he was approached by council about providing catering for the community centre, the community hall.
Still, the question was when you said that you felt that it was premeditated to get rid of either community or a sporting group. I'm just asking who premeditated that, or who accused someone
During
of premeditating.
administration, it changed. As I said before, the whole plan's changed. And as Nigel said, it was himself and another state government entity that were involved in the decision making.
And you feel that, sorry, through the chair, and you feel that decision was premeditated to get rid of an organisation?
No.
That's what I thought you said.
Premeditated, pre-orchestrated that there were no kitchen facilities.
Yeah, I don't know.
No cooking facilities.
Thank you. I think I'll bring this to a close. I share Councillor Bannon's confusion over that, so that's why I allowed that to continue down that vein. Councillor Wilcox.
Sorry. It's really quiet today. So is the community hall separate to Rochedale Rovers, or are they both in the same building?
It's separate,
Separate.
at the same location.
So to Rochedale Rovers, do they have canteen facilities?
Yes. Commercial, all the sporting clubs have commercial facilities.
All right, so it's just the community hall that doesn't have the cooking facilities?
Correct.
So how often is the community hall used for cooking by other groups, do you know?
A lot.
Okay, thanks.
May I just ask, do we actually have a tenant for the community hall as such?
No, it's a horrible space. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. It's unhorrible because there's no cooking.
So may I just ask a question for my own clarity? So, Nigel, if someone in the community wants to go and host an event, and we just heard places like Rochedale Rovers and so on, because when I went down there for the launch, I was aware there were commercial kitchens in some other locations. Are they able to actually hire those facilities from those other leaseholders?
So, through the chair, so at this stage we're still negotiating different options and arrangements with both hirers and the other tenants within that precinct. The opportunity, subject to Rochedale Rovers' agreement, would be that they could cater to a facility that is utilising and hiring the hall. That would be an option. The other options are that hirers could bring in their own caterers who would bring pre-prepared food provide that through hot boxes, which is quite a common arrangement in particularly for wedding type events, or that the hirers bring in their pre-prepared cold platters. The fridges are available to be able to store those and serve sandwich platters, fruit platters and that type of thing from the facility. So there are options that we are looking at and talking to our hirers about to identify what options are there. And ultimately, if the feedback from our hirers and from the community is that there is a demand there, then my approach would be to put up a service enhancement to facilitate that improvement. There's a whole backstory which I'm happy to put into a future report around how that whole project evolved, how it evolved with additional funding, how it evolved with additional scope that was required to be added to the project by the state, who were the majority funder for the project. But I'm, again, happy to present and provide all of that information so council can be fully aware of that, given and understanding that it was not during this council's term that these decisions were made. So happy to provide that.
I understand that. I have a question from Councillor Murphy, and then in relation to this, Councillor Wilcox?
That's right.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy, then Councillor Wilcox.
Just to clarify, so in the current community hall, you already have an existing sink, stainless steel benches and a fridge. Is that correct?
Correct. And the
So the-
microwave will be, if not there now, will be in shortly.
So the only thing that is missing from the kitchen that Councillor Bradley wants is actually cooking, as in stoves? And is there a reason why that they can't have stoves due to the building code or something like that?
We would need to go through the process to ensure that what is provided meets the food hygiene handling requirements to make it a licensed and a registered kitchen.
And is that why they were left off?
Sorry?
Is that why the oven was left off the kitchen?
No,
Like you've got 3/4 of a kitchen.
Yeah, so, and as I said, I'm happy to bring back the previous reports which council endorsed the original concept, which shows the football clubhouse kitchen and bar servicing the community space, and also having a small kitchenette to enable people to do tea and coffee and other things if they didn't need the commercial access to commercial facilities. So that's the information I think needs to come back so we can have that full discussion.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Councillor Wilcox.
Just wanted to ask, so it's just a stainless steel sink, bench and fridge in there presently?
No,
Is that not in there at all?
no.
So, okay, so there's no kitchen facilities at all?
No, through the chairs. So the kitchen servery facility has stainless steel benches. It has a boiling water facility through a zip boiling water. We are providing a microwave oven, and it will have a 3-door fridge. Now, I don't know where they are in relation to delivery of the fridge and the microwave oven, but that's been communicated to the councillor previously.
Okay. Having a catering background, a 3-door fridge and a microwave doesn't go together. Because the 3-door fridge is essentially a catering fridge. But what type of kitchen facilities specifically is Councillor Bradley wanting? Because I'm just thinking of my own Greenbank Hall as a committee who have fundraised themselves, and they've actually just installed more kitchen facilities, so they've actually installed it themselves. So I'm just wanting to know what more is wanted by the community.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wilcox. I'll allow Councillor Bradley to respond.
Yeah, thank you. And can I just say, there is no benches there at the moment. They haven't been put in.
But the intent is to provide them.
And there is no microwave either.
But the intent is to provide them, yeah?
I don't know.
Well,
Through the chair,
Nigel has
I'd-
just
But
communicated that.
can I just elaborate?
Councillor Bradley, can I just say that I'd like clarification from Nigel if the intent is to provide the bench tops, the microwave and the fridge?
Yes, through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. Okay, next question.
Thank you. This is not a lease community centre. It's a hall. And so it's not exactly the same. But I'm just saying, if you want the intent forevermore that community halls, which are the only community hall in that area, not have a kitchen, don't support this. But if you want cooking facilities in your future, community halls, community facilities, then support it. It's up to you. I'll leave it in your hands.
Thank you. I'm going to wind this up. Councillor Bradley has had her final words. Councillor Raven, did you want to say something before we close?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, well, if the intent is just to have this information in the public realm, then I'm happy to support the general business, and that sounds like what Councillor Bradley wanted, because she wants it to be out there so she can show the community that she's stood up for them. The only community hall I have, which is a hall for hire as well, is Crestmead PCYC, and the previous councillor funded their commercial kitchen out of Dickop. So, because the facility didn't have it originally, I understand it's a different situation because obviously there was a consultation done, but I think there are many halls without kitchen facilities, but it is an important feature.
Okay, I'm sure many of us would absolutely love new facilities in our regions, and there are opportunities to retrofit some of the facilities Councillor Bradley is concerned are lacking. So whilst I recognise Councillor Bradley wasn't at the helm during administration, I don't think that there's anything that can't be rectified with the right will. Councillor Bradley has got a motion up. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Bradley's motion? Councillor Bannon has seconded the motion.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, can I say why that I want to second it so it's clear? Really quickly.
Very quickly.
Because Nigel's already said he's quite happy to present the report. It helps Councillor Bradley with the clarity, so I'm happy to second the motion and support it. Thank you.
Thanks. So Councillor Bannon has seconded the motion. Could I see by a show of hands those who are in support of the motion? And that is unanimously supported. Thank you. Do I have any other further questions for Nigel? Any other GB? Nigel, do you have any GB for us?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Nigel. Okay. I'll now refer councillors to item 4.1. Can the Libraries and Creative Industries Manager, Ms Annette Turner, please enter the discussions? But before we get underway, this is the report regarding Creative City, Logan City Council Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy, and it's a progress update from 2018 to 2022. Do any councillors have any conflicts of interest they wish to declare? Councillor Bradley.
Yeah, thank you. For the benefit of the record, I'd like to declare a personal interest, which I have tested through the Local Government Association Queensland LGAQ Conflict of Interest app. The LGAQ app determined I do not have a conflict of interest. However, in the interest of transparency, I would like to declare that my partner, Michael Matthews, is employed by Logan City Council as coordinator of Beenleigh Event Centre and takes bookings for Beenleigh Town Square as part of his role. The report refers to Beenleigh Event Centre and Beenleigh Town Square. My partner does not receive a benefit or detriment for this matter. The LGQ app has determined I do not have a conflict of interest. In the future, I will not declare this again unless the circumstances change. And I would like that please to go on the record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, councillors. Councillor Bradley.
Sorry, does she need to table that to have it in the minutes?
I think that's a very wise idea. Councillor Bradley has asked if we could table in the minutes her conflict of interest. Can we arrange for that to occur, please? Thank you. Okay, Councillor Bradley has declared a conflict of interest with regard to item 6.1.
4.1.
Sorry, 4.1. You're quite right, Councillor Bradley, my mistake. 4.1. For the reasons that she has stated. Do I have someone to second the conflict of interest that Councillor Bradley has raised?
It's not a conflict of interest.
No, I just declared that I am not. It's a personal interest.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry, I misunderstood. So simply for the minutes,
Record. Yeah, for the
and you'll be remaining. Yes, yes, thank you. And you won't. I've got it. Thank you.
I've already sent it on.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your patience with me. I'd now like to refer to the Libraries and Creative Industries Manager, Ms Annette Turner, who's being supported today by Robin down the end there. Hello, Robin. Welcome to present the report.
Thank you. And we would like to join our chair today in acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today, the Yugambeh people, and acknowledge their elders past, present and emerging. Particularly, we are passionate about this in NAIDOC Week because we really appreciate their generosity in sharing their land and their culture with us. It is my pleasure today to be joined by Robin Dorr. Robin is our Creative Industries Program Leader, and the purpose of this report is to provide a progress update on the Creative City Logan City Council Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy 2018 to 2022. We are going to keep this brief in the interest of that you have been here all day, but we're very passionate about the work that's delivered across the city in arts, culture and heritage. Today's presentation will provide highlights from the period of 1st of July 2019 to the 1st of October this year. And we're very proud of the work that is delivered across the city in meeting the aspirations and expectations of our residents and also visitors to the city in the area of arts, culture and heritage. And I'm going to hand over to Robin to talk about the outcomes and our achievements.
Do I get to? Okay. Hello, it's a pleasure to be here and thank you for remaining awake. I'd like to share with you a few of the things that we've delivered during 2019 and 2020. We have 5 aims: development, engagement, places and spaces, partnerships and communication. And the first one, which is development, we have provided high quality, innovative arts, culture and heritage practices to residents through our annual programs at the Logan Entertainment Centre, Logan City Council Libraries, Logan Art Galleries and Mays Cottage, and of course we've launched the KBF. We've also had funding through events, communities and Regional Arts Development Fund, which have helped develop arts and culture projects with our communities. Creative Industries, of course, have supported our community through professional development programs such as Boost and business skills through economic development. Our second aim is engagement, and we have helped present major festivals and exhibitions such as Eats and Beats and Imagination, which have engaged our community with programs for younger audiences. And we've also maintained links to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities through our Nyimba Meta Aboriginal Reference Group and exhibitions such as our Stories and Designs. Places and spaces for arts and culture are included in regional plans and development projects. Our public artworks have enhanced community understanding of our heritage and culture, and residents have access to high quality council buildings and facilities which undergo continuous improvement. Our partnerships across councils such as sister city events and exchanges have been supported by economic development and libraries and creative industries branches. Our partnerships are maintained with state government to support our programs that benefit our community, and our programs are developed with for-profit and not-for-profit organisations for mutual benefit. And last but not least is communication, because we can do all of the above, but if we don't communicate it, nobody knows about it. So we've enhanced the City of Logan's image and increased cultural tourism through our award-winning programs, and we've promoted our activities in online and hard copy publications locally, nationally and internationally.
Thanks, Robin, for those brief highlights. Arts, culture and heritage play an important role in achieving Council's vision of an innovative, dynamic city of the future. The delivery of the strategy continues to guide the management of existing arts, culture and heritage activities, set sites and provision in Logan, and also planning for our future growth and development across the city. This report is presented to you today to be received, but through the Chair, we're interested if there are any questions that councillors might like to probe on.
Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Robin. Do we have any questions from anyone? Councillor Raven.
No questions, just praise. Thank you for including councillors in your presentation. It's so nice to see photos of us out and about with members of the community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Raven. Do I have any other questions from any councillors? I'll pop the recommendations up on the board in front of you. Councillors, can I have someone to move the motion? That would be Councillor Raven to move, Mr Mayor to second. By show of hands, all those are in favour? And that has been unanimously supported. Thank you, ladies, and continue the great work that you do.
Thank you.
Now, do we have any GB for Annette? Annette, do you have any GB for us?
No, no, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Annette. Thank you, Robin. All right, councillors. I now draw your attention to item 6.1, which is our community engagement strategy from 2020 to 2024. I'll now invite the Customer Experience and Community Engagement Manager, Mr. Matthew Johns, to enter discussions. And Matthew's been very ably supported today by Tamara Weaver. Before we get underway, do we have any conflicts of interest that councillors need to address? There being none, I will now invite the manager to present his report. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, councillors. So it is my pleasure to today present the report for the final version of the Community Engagement Strategy 2020 to 2024, seeking your endorsement. I'll take the report as read, and I'd just like to make a couple of quick points separate to the report if I can. Firstly, I've asked Tamara Weaver, who is the Program Leader for Community Engagement, to come up and join me today. Partly she'll obviously have a few words to say, but I want to take that moment to thank her and her team for the huge amount of work that they have done to get this document to this point and in front of you today. The other point just to make that I do think it was quite fortuitous to be able to present through this whole day of committees on the same day that the Logan Listens 2020 results did land. What I see from that is that really the sentiment of the community in that result around consulting, councils consulting the community has reconfirmed, I suppose, what we've put forward as the strategic direction for this strategy. They have said through that Logan Listen survey and then our same process that we are good, but we could be better. And we completely agree with that. So the strategy today is our pathway forward to continue to do that the best that we can.
Thank you, Matt. Do I have any questions from any councillors for the manager? Councillor Bradley.
Yeah, thank you. I was actually going to raise about the Logan Listens survey and the community consultation. I think that is core of who we are as a council. It should be at forefront of every communication that anyone has with members of the public. So I just want to express that.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Did you have any question there for the manager? No. Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First up, I want to say thank you for including us with our own heading and a paragraph. It's excellent. And thank you for listening to the very strong feedback that you got through the last report that you brought forward. Would you be able to comment specifically on the IRIS information? I know you touched on it, Matt, but where we've seen that we can do it better, what does that look like from your point of view? Like, what opportunities does that create so that you can take that information and leverage it to do a better job or to do a different job?
Through the chair, I just might allow
I might just handball that curly one.
Otherwise, you'll stand here or sit here and...
Thank you, through the chair. Look, this is a really great opportunity to understand that we are a team of three. So part of this strategy is identifying, and what came out of the key findings is that we do need to build capacity within the organisation as well. So one of our, through the action planning, we'll be looking at how we build capacity consistency, because I do hear that consistency in engagement across the business is something that we need to look at. So part of that is strengthening our internal communications with staff. We work over 25 different branches and looking at how we can better set the foundations through our framework, community engagement framework, to lift the capability of council.
Cool, thank you. When I was reading it last night, because I read this first and then I read the IRIS report immediately afterwards, it really stood out to me that if the community wants community engagement to be, like, they've recognised that they want more, or they want it to be more meaningful, it'd be great if we could include it in the vision. And I know we're doing a lot of community engagement pieces at the moment, but if that becomes like a core part of our vision moving forward, that we listen to our community and actually close the loop with them, I'd be very impressed with that as an outcome of this strategy and the IRIS report working together.
Thank you, Councillor Raven. I trust that will be noted, Matt. Yeah. Any other questions for the manager or for tomorrow? There being none, can I have a mover that the Customer Experience Strategy 20 to 24 is attached to the report of the Customer Experience... Sorry, I beg your pardon, I've jumped ahead, haven't I? Community Engagement Strategy, forgive me. Be endorsed. I think the recommendation is now on the board in front of you. Thank you. Councillor Russell has moved. Can I have a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Mr Mayor. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That is unanimously supported. So many amazing strategies coming up today. I got a bit ahead of myself, forgive me.
It's a very strategic meeting, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillors, I now draw your attention to item 6.2, which is in fact the Customer Experience Strategy 2020 to 2024, and I'll ask the manager to present his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Before we get underway, do any councillors have any conflicts of interest they wish to declare? There being none. Thank you, Matt. I think we're getting a bit tired at the end of the day. Forgive me.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is my great pleasure to be able to bring to Council today the Customer Experience Strategy 2020 to 2024. So this final version is pretty much the same as the one that came to councillors or to Council in July. That moment was to seek the final part of the community feedback. So we had done, for this particular consultation process, quite a significant front-end piece. And to my mind, really, it was just a confirmation that all of that had been captured. And as the report notes, there was actually no external feedback that was received through that process. We did get just a little bit of internal feedback, but that was great. And so we incorporated that. And then the graphic design team, who I'd like to publicly thank, just did their little bit of final polish. So I put that forward today for endorsement of that finalised version. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any councillors have any questions? Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So again, with the IRIS data indicating that people's email interactions with council customer service isn't as awesome as all the other interactions. So my understanding that goes through the public records, like goes through the records team first. So when an email comes in, it doesn't come straight to you, does it? It's not even your fault that they're not getting as awesome a feedback. So it'd be good if we could get those two teams to work in better concert so that we could get that experience to be as awesome as possible, Robert. Thank you.
Just through the chair, if I can have a quick note that obviously I'll take the time to analyse that data, that it is a meaningful and important data set as it comes. You really do have to work through that report. And all of those then kind of sets, I think this is about the 7th time that we've done that IRIS slogan listens, inevitably allows us to focus on something. So that will become a part of a project. We did look at emails a little while ago, but clearly the community is saying it's becoming more and more a preferred channel, which is not unsurprising. And particularly the level of promotion we did in those early months of the COVID, where we were really kind of recommending, not like pushing people, but recommending that that was a way to contact us. They took that up, and now we have to understand how to lift that experience a little bit. So thank you.
Yeah, I only just found out the other week that Council at Logan is the records team. I didn't realise that every single email that came into council went through that team, which is also a pretty small team. So yeah, it would be good to get some uplift of capacity, is that what you called it, in that team as well. Thank you.
Councillor Bradley, do you have a question?
Yeah, mine was very similar. I noticed that a lot of councils actually have like a customer, on their website, customer experience sort of right at the front face, where you can actually put in your question. As soon as you click on to council's website, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on a computer. What's your concern, what's your question, whatever, and it can automatically put you in different areas and give you information automated before even the customer even speaks to someone. So it would be awesome if we do take on board that IRIS research, the Logan Listens survey, and just improve our customer experience even further, and our engagement with the community.
Thank you. Did you care to comment, Matt? I think that's duly been noted and heard today. Councillors, do we have any other questions? There being none, the motion is on the board in front of you. Can I have a mover for the motion? Councillor Bradley has moved. Councillor Raven has seconded. May I see by show of hands all those in favour? And that has been unanimously supported. Thank you. So that marks the end of the Customer Experience and Community Engagement Manager's reports. Do we have any GB for the manager? Matt, do you have any GB for us? No? That being none, that's the end of that report. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, Tamara. Councillors, I now draw your attention to item 7.1 and we'll invite the Community Service Manager, Mr Nick Maguire, to come and join discussions, ably supported by Keely. Before we get underway, councillors, do you have any conflicts of interest you wish to declare with regard to the final draft City of Logan Safe City Strategy and Action Plan 2021 to 2025?
Happy to move it.
Great work.
There being, thank you Councillor Bradley, there being no conflicts of interest, and I note that Councillor Bradley has in fact supported the report by moving it, but I will invite the manager to speak to his report if he would like to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the interest of time and also the fact that Councillor Bradley has already moved it, I won't talk too much to the report, but I did just want to mention that there's been a mountain of work that's gone into the development of this strategy, and the strategy has been entirely developed internally by Keely and her team. So I just wanted to commend Keely and her team for all the work that they've done in the development of the strategy. This strategy is a really important document for us in setting the direction for all of the work that we do over the course of the next 5 years in the community safety team. So I put it to you for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Do I have any questions from the floor? Councillor Raven.
Just a very quick comment. Having read like 4 strategies last night, the way that you had little fact boxes that brought attention to things that were interesting and cool was a really effective way of making me focus and then go back and read the rest of that page because I was interested in the fact. So very well written, and I'm happy to second it.
Full of compliments today, Councillor Raven. Mr Mayor, did you have a question?
Yeah, Madam Chair, is this our last item?
It is, yes.
I was just wondering, councillors, let's dig in. We've only been here for 7 hours. I think we should have another hour debate.
You want to debate?
Yeah.
I think the city's safe enough. We don't need a strategy.
I'll second Councillor Bradley.
All right, so just to recap, Councillor Bradley has moved, Councillor Raven has seconded, the Mayor has thirded, no. By a show of hands, can I see all those who are in favour of endorsing the report? That has been unanimously supported. Thank you, everyone. Now, before the manager ducks off, do I have any GB for Nick? Councillor Bradley?
Yeah, can I just express, even though that was done pretty quickly, you do an awesome job, just saying.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. I concur. Nick, do you have any GB for us? Okay, there being no GB, I note that due to social distancing restrictions, not all managers or staff can attend today. So that being said, does anyone have any general business for the Director? Councillor Vannon.
Just a quick one because I don't want to get lynched. Just compliment to your staff, especially Brent Dowden. I've got a lot of fire trails and access issues, and I'm getting messages on my phone with people thanking me and that they feel safer in their houses and they couldn't be happier, and they how fast they respond to things and get it done. It's very easy to make myself look good in the area when you get a team that are that fast. So I just want to thank you, and if you could pass that on.
Thank you. Do we have any other GB for the Director? I just have one quick item. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the library volunteers who were good enough to provide us with these gorgeous poppies for Remembrance Day tomorrow. And if you could please pass that on, Katie, that would be appreciated. And do we have any GB from you, Katie? Awesome. Well, councillors, can I just say thank you for your attendance and thank you for keeping your energy levels high right to the very end for the last of the committee. I know it was a huge day, and obviously we're here today so that you can attend Remembrance Day services tomorrow. So thank you once again for your attention, and that completes our agenda. I declare the City Lifestyle Committee meeting of the 10th of November concluded at, and I think that even our iPad went flat,
4:14.
at 4:14 p.m. Thanks, everyone.